Hello everyone. I'm with Anupama Pradhan. Anu is an NLP trainer, coach, and is a friend. And she lives in Pune. And the intention of this call is because a few of you had put up on the forums and had some questions. Questions like what are some do's and don'ts. There's lots of information going around. What can citizens do? And I thought I'll have this chat with Anu for the simple reason the other day when I was having a chat with her, I thought she had some very useful information to share. Now, some of you may already be familiar with, information that Anu is going to be sharing, and some of it would be new. All right. So, Anu, I'm just going to minimize my. Hold on, it's my view. Yeah, okay. So, would you like to introduce yourself? I mean, it was a very small introduction. So, would you?
I think the introduction. I'm very much a part of the Neoway family. So, yes.
Okay.
Very, very happy to help.
Yeah, thanks a lot for this call, Anu. So, Anu, one of the questions that somebody had asked was, what are some do's, don'ts? Because there's lots of information, what to follow, what not to follow. Now, I'm not an expert in this, so I thought you'd be the right person to talk.
Okay, I'm not much of an expert myself, but I think one of the most practical things for us to do would be to ensure that we are not just taking whatever comes to us on WhatsApp, especially at face value. There is a lot of information that is floating around which may be factually incorrect, especially regarding stuff like medicines. I think that is very important because there was some days back a post that came around about a medicine called hydrochloroquine, which is useful to prevent and my mom takes it for another ailment, and she called up and said, "Oh, should I give it to your dad as well?" And I said, "Please don't." And sure enough, 3 days later, there was this thing from the Indian Council of Medical Research saying, "Do not use this medication." So one has to be very sure that there is absolutely no self-medication in these times, even for fever, because even a medicine like ibuprofen, which is brufen in normal parlance, is not good in this particular ailment. There have been some fatalities related to brufen. So if you have fever, check the medicines that you are taking with your doctor before you take anything. That would be the best thing. As far as all the various messages that are going around, I think the two sites which would give you absolute accurate information and current information would be the official sites of the World Health Organization and the Indian Council of Medical Research.
Okay, and it is who.org?
who.org and icmr.nic.in, nic.in.
nic.in.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Also, I think all the state governments and the central government have a Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and they have their own websites.
Okay.
So whatever each state is doing with relation to this COVID pandemic is all up there. So instead of believing any posts that come, a quick check from these websites would be a good thing to do.
Okay.
And what I do is if something comes to me, I cross check and I inform the person who sent it to me if it is not factually correct or not it doesn't align with what is on the WHO or ICMR site. So that way we are ensuring that wrong information doesn't get passed around.
Okay. All right. And what are some, a lot of people would probably already know it, but if you were to, just for the common person, what are some do's, what are some don'ts, apart from what you just mentioned, like don't just go about all the messages that you get. Yeah. What are some do's and don'ts?
So, I think one of the key things in this is the social distancing. Now, what is social distancing and why? because so social distancing is maintaining at least a distance of 1 meter or 3 feet from a person who could uh, possibly be affected. Now, we don't know when we step out of our home who is affected and who isn't, or who has been in contact with somebody who could be a carrier.
Hmm.
We don't know. So, maintaining this much distance from any other human being
Hmm.
to be a good thing to do.
Hmm.
Why is that so? Because the virus is carried either through touch or through droplets that are, generally if a person sneezes or coughs, the droplets that come out, we
Hmm.
can't see them, they're very tiny,
Hmm.
but the virus can travel through them, and that just might touch us.
Hmm.
So if there is that much distance, then we are not easily susceptible to getting the infection.
Right.
And one of the things we should do once we get back home is to have a good wash with soap and water.
Hmm.
Where soap and water is not accessible, you use sanitizers, but nothing like good old soap and water.
Hmm.
And whatever we have got from outside, anything that, like if we've gone out for our daily essentials like milk, etc., we should wash all those things and then use them.
Wash with soap and water.
Uh, you can't wash vegetables with soap and water, but even with good,
Hmm.
clean running water is good.
Okay.
In fact, unless you're doing it in a, there are some food uh, the certain medicines, I mean, like you use potassium permanganate and
Right.
something like that.
Hmm.
Other than that, otherwise, just washing them with water can wash off, because the virus doesn't enter the plant cells as such. It's more,
Okay.
it's an animal virus, so it's rather a human virus, so it will not enter.
Okay.
Again, avoid touching people, avoid coming close to people. So if you're
Hmm.
going to buy vegetables, just open your bag and have the vendor drop it in. So you're not actually,
Contact
touching.
is not there.
Yeah, that there's no contact.
Hmm.
And ideally carry a bag that is washable, maybe a cloth bag or a jute bag which one can just wash out,
Hmm.
when we go out. It's a good idea to keep a separate bag and wallet when we are moving out, so that you're using only those, that cash outside transactions, so
Hmm.
that money is not coming into the home.
Hmm. Hmm.
So just to carry those separately. And
Or
if we
just
do,
use digital stuff.
or use digital wherever possible. Digital, a lot of even small vegetable vendors are using Paytm and Google Pay, so that
Right.
also works.
Right.
I think that's the one good thing that happened with demonetization. A lot of people switched over to
Right.
digital payments.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Anything else that you would about the do's and don'ts?
Yeah, so there is follow the instructions given by the government, I would say. When they have said don't step out, I know it's very difficult to stay indoors, but step out only when absolutely essential.
Hmm.
So like once in 3 4 days, to go get essentials is good. I think stuff like exercising and all, one has maybe can now switch over to something that can be done indoors.
So even walks outside are not allowed.
Again, when I recently spoke to a doctor, he said, why walks outside? Because if there isn't enough space, you are going to be crossing people constantly.
Hmm.
So unless you're actually living in a nice remote area where you don't cross somebody for a long period of time,
Hmm.
uh, why it is better not to. Because again, the other person may sneeze or something, if they aren't wearing a mask, we really don't know. So
Hmm.
it's better to avoid as far as possible.
Hmm.
If you happen to live in a community where you really don't have too many people who are out, and you are walking out at a very very early hour or something, but
Then it's fine.
I'm not going to put that out, because the official line of the government is that do
Right.
not step out of the
Right.
home.
So what I'm getting from you is follow the WHO and ICMR.
That's right. I think that would be the best, because they are, I would say, the current authorities on what's going on,
Right.
at least where India is concerned,
Right. And the state government websites.
and the state government
Would
website.
you have a link to these?
So the state government, each state government has its own website. So,
Okay.
Ministry of Health and Family Welfare.
Mm.
So MOHFW,
Mm.
and each state government, and in fact, they also have any help. They also have helplines in
Mm-hmm.
case one feels, you know, what is if you want to reach out to somebody.
For information, any information.
Any information. In fact, another good thing to do would be is so those who are on Twitter could follow the official Twitter handle of the police in their own city.
Okay.
Because at least I can speak for Pune. The Pune City Police has a Twitter handle, and they are constantly updating what are the authorities doing with relation to or with regard to what the police is enacting.
Hmm.
The laws, whether regarding vehicular movement, how can senior citizens be helped, etc.
Hmm. Hmm.
So the Pune City Police is using their Twitter handle very extensively to communicate with the general public.
Okay.
And again, it comes from an authority,
Hmm.
so it would be reliable rather than some random message
Right.
coming in on WhatsApp.
Okay. So stay away from WhatsApp is your message. Stick
Yes,
stick
do
to
not believe to that. Yes, stick
okay.
to the official or cross
Official.
check with the official handle.
Okay.
The websites.
Right. Anything else? From an awareness point of view, so somebody had asked, is there something that we can do to spread awareness because people are still going out and not staying in? From an awareness point of view, anything that we as citizens can do? Do you have any thoughts on that?
So actually, I think a lot of people are not taking it seriously because there are, like I said, a number of even doctors who are saying that it's like a flu virus or something. So yes, it is like a flu virus, but the point is that it is a different virus, and our bodies do not have the antibodies to that. And so far, there's no vaccine developed.
Hmm.
So I think, and also the fact remains that there have been fatalities.
Hmm.
Now, if you have a good immune system,
Hmm.
uh, maybe the chances of actually it affecting us may be less.
Hmm.
But we have families where we have young children and we have our elders also staying
Hmm.
who may not be as healthy or have as strong immune systems.
Hmm.
So we also have to ensure that uh, they are safe, which is
Right.
why we need to also be careful. Like, I stay here with my mother-in-law and my children, so my children are grown up boys, but my mother-in-law is 75, and she's recently recovered from bronchitis, which means
Hmm.
already her respiratory system is weak
Hmm. Hmm.
and her immune system is low.
Hmm.
So it would be a good idea to refrain from going out, just so that, because we it may not affect us, but it may affect people, our loved ones within our family.
Right.
So that's why, and a lot of senior citizens have been affected worldwide because of poor immunity, which comes with age. It's
Hmm.
not that it's with age that it has happened. And children also usually do have a weaker immune system as compared to adults,
Right.
which is why these two age brackets, one needs to be more careful about.
Right. Um, okay. So, and anything else that you think we can do to spread awareness, or
To spread awareness, I think maybe also. So when we're talking about awareness, maybe even speaking to, so those of us who still may have domestic help coming in,
hmm.
I feel talking to them,
Hmm.
because and telling them what is the importance, because they don't understand maybe the scientific reason behind this no movement. Speaking to even people like vegetable vendors and all about this thing, the health aspect, why
Hmm.
it is important to maintain social distancing,
Hmm.
because a lot of people, maybe they need explaining why it is so important.
Hmm.
A lot of people may not understand what actually happens, and when we explain to them,
Hmm.
they would understand.
Right.
Like
Okay.
my
So,
domestic help called up and said, I'm bored, can I come to work? And I
hmm.
had to sit and explain to her all over again that no, you need to sit in for 21 days, please do that.
Hmm. I think using the police's name would, or mentioning the police, I think would
Yeah, I think so.
help.
I think that's what the police is doing. I think the lathi charge, the danda is working very well just to keep in the people who otherwise, just move around. Especially the domestic head, they have, the young boys. They don't know what to do with their time, and they would be the ones moving out. And I think
Hmm.
it's really very, very important that we
Right.
spread awareness to
Hmm.
the people that we can influence.
Right.
People within our circles whom we can influence. Explain to
Yes.
them
Yeah.
why it's important to stay in.
Right. You had some suggestions on some things to follow. You had mentioned MidCat and some authentic
Yeah.
information to follow. So can
Yeah.
you share some
So,
information?
so for those who are not aware, I used to work for a company known as Midcat Advisory Services.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that they do is collate information regarding geopolitical scenario, and they share it with the corporate world. Now, what has happened is with this current pandemic, they continue collating information, but of course, the stress is on what is happening with regard to the COVID-19 pandemic. So they are putting out a lot of information about do's and don'ts. What are the myths that are going around? So they have these mythbusters. So they have a Facebook page, they have their own website, and they're also on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
So it's mitcatadvisory.com, MITKAT, mitcatadvisory.com. That's their website. They have a lot of infographics which make it easy reading. So it's not like you don't have pages and pages or a big blog or something. It's an infographic. It's in point form,
Mm-hmm.
which with images. So it makes it easy to read and understand.
Mm-hmm.
So people can actually maybe just follow it, and they're using this information and sharing it, and it's all verified from official government websites.
Okay.
They also have a live tracker that they have created regarding how many cases of COVID-19 have been reported, how many have healed, and how many fatalities state-wise.
Okay.
So that's again and again they are using the state government websites to update this, and it is done on a almost on a daily basis.
Okay.
Not almost, it is done on a daily
On a
basis.
daily
So
basis.
these are again factual info. This is factual
And
information.
this is gotten from the ministry.
Yeah, they're using the ministry websites to update it.
Right.
So the moment the ministry is putting out that so many websites, it will so the midcat tracker would match that for each state. So they're doing it according to the states.
I'll put up the website information and the maybe even helpline numbers below.
Yes.
Um, and is there anything, any support for senior citizens? Because that was one of the questions
Yeah.
asked.
So I think some cities have got some groups which are being formed, which are helping out the senior citizens. So maybe one can volunteer to be a part of the group, or very simply, what if we could just check who are the senior citizens, maybe in our own apartment building, your own block. Check with them if they need anything from outside when we are stepping out for our essentials.
Hmm.
If we could support them in that way, that would be a huge help,
Right.
because we wouldn't want them to step out, and they may not be healthy enough to carry back a lot of groceries or goods. And so if we could support them by getting them their daily necessities, especially medicines that they require, maybe
Hmm.
take their prescription and pick up the medicines that they require for a month or so that they don't worry about how will I get my medicines.
Right.
you know
So that's a
they,
part we can do in apartments and
yeah, if I see, we may not be allowed to move from one apartment to the other, but those of us who are already living in apartments, what if you could just check, form a support group within your own apartment complex,
hmm.
and maybe just divide that we will look after these two family, these two couples, or these two homes, and just keep checking on them, check on their health occasionally with a phone call, are you okay?
Hmm.
Because I'm sure their families are helping, but if we can, just on ground give a call, can I get you something? Do you need some help? Sometimes the senior citizens may not have the energy to cook a particular meal,
Hmm.
and with possibly domestic help not coming in, they would also have their challenges. So maybe if we could just send some a meal across to them,
Hmm.
so if one could support them in certain ways,
Hmm.
you know
Yeah.
like the younger people, because we all are at home, so one can actually, I mean, if we are cooking for 5 people, we can cook for two more people on a particular day,
But we got to make sure we wash our hands
and we wash our hands and we give them absolutely.
and the utensils and everything in soap and water.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I think washing hands and everything is with soap and water when we step out and come back. I think that is the key to keeping it out,
Right.
keeping the virus away.
Right. Yeah. Even door handles, sanitizing
Yeah, yeah.
them.
In fact, if you can just clean them out every day, that's also good. Not necessarily with a sanitizer, because nowadays I think everybody is being very wary about even ringing doorbells,
Right.
and nobody is going anywhere. No one's visiting anyone, so we're
Yeah.
pretty much in a good place.
Yeah. Anything else that you have to share? I mean, these are some questions that
Yeah.
people had asked, which is why I asked. But anything
So
else?
I think what's very important is that even for us, if we can just find ourselves a routine
Hmm.
in our own day, start doing things which, and especially even within our families, encourage people to do things they like.
Hmm.
Pick up their hobbies again. So in fact, just maybe some our elders, if they've given up on an older hobby, something they used to like,
Hmm.
encourage them to get back to doing that so that it keeps them occupied.
Hmm.
Maybe have maybe start those old time storytelling sessions, between grandparents and grandchildren,
Hmm.
so that I think that would keep people from thinking about what will happen. That
Right.
fear that's there at the back of the mind,
Hmm.
that what's going to happen, how long is this going to last. But as long as the mind is positively occupied
Hmm.
and with doing things, I think it just stops people from sitting and worrying about what's happening. I have
Right.
very happily handed over part of my kitchen duties to my mom-in-law. So,
Okay.
yeah, because that keeps her busy and stops her from thinking and brooding. So that's
Right.
good.
Right. Okay. Super. So, if I were to recap, so one is you're saying stay away from lots of messages, lots of false information going out there.
Yes,
So even if information is mentioned, double check it with the WHO, the ICMR websites, then follow your state government sites,
that's right.
their helplines, maybe the Twitter handles,
Yep,
the official handles of the police commissioner. Uh, you're saying what everyone's saying: keep wash your hands, keep yourself clean. Then to have a look at the MidCat website. How specifically will this help people?
I think it's all just factual information, because at least then you're not worried about, because the factual information, because it's facts. Then
Mm,
we
mm,
are not dealing with, oh, is it, I heard, and then it puts a stop to rumors.
right, right,
So if you know what the facts are,
right,
then automatically we're not taken in by rumors, and we don't start, maybe there's no panic, because a
right,
lot of panic sets in when rumors float around,
right.
and which is why I think one of the good things that's happened is that there is no panic buying and all happening in India. Everybody is aware, because the government has very confidently been telling people that essentials will be available and all, and so one finds that like we hear about how abroad there was a lot of panic buying. It has not happened,
No, yeah,
and I think that's a good thing that people are taking it well.
right,
But of course, we have to remember that we don't have to step out every day. I mean, you don't have to get fresh vegetables every day.
right,
Go pick up for a week and stay in for the rest of the week.
right, yeah,
So that less contact with the people outside.
yeah.
And it's
Uh,
15 more days now, so
yeah,
we've
it's
already
only,
1 week
only only
through.
15 only 15 more days.
Only 15 more days. Yes, we've made it through 1 week.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we made it through 7 full days
Yes,
and just another 14 days more.
yes,
Okay, and what you're suggesting is also create a routine, go back to hobbies, and keep yourself occupied. Support senior citizens in whatever little way that we can. Right?
yes.
Mm. If there's anything else, I'll get back to you, Anu. Anything else
Sure.
that you want to mention or add before we end the call?
No, I think I think what we are also doing is, you know, they're most welcome. I think we all are here, the Neoway coaches. I think we all are here to support anybody with
Yeah.
whatever help they need,
Right.
what people need. And I think uh, reaching out for help, I think, is also very essential.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very essential to speak up in case there are any fears, doubts,
Right.
anxiety.
Right.
To speak out to somebody who can help is also very important, because currently what happens is with everybody in the indoors in one space, um, there are times when one may need to, you know, one may need some support, emotional, mental support, and I think reaching out to someone is very important so
Right.
that we can deal with what's going on in the house in a more resourceful manner, rather than, you know, it's like one could say it might become like a pressure cooker situation,
Right.
you know, with everybody in the house,
Yeah.
and everyone is, you know, has their own commitments because people are on a work from home mode, and there are children at home who may be
Right.
demanding attention and time,
Right.
and we have our commitments. So I think reaching out for help if one needs
Yeah.
is very essential.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's, yeah. I think what you're saying is also very important.
Yeah,
Reach out.
reach out.
Yeah.
Even if it's a chat with a friend,
Yeah.
reach out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, Thank you so much, Anu. Thanks for your time. And
Thank you. Most welcome.
I hope all of you found this useful. Have a look at, I'll put the links below if whatever questions, I mean, have a look at the links. If you have any questions, please put it up on the group, and then I will ask Anu to respond.
Sure.
Okay. All
Sure.
right.
Sure.
Okay. Thanks.